Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu5 and I thought I'd make kind of an interesting video. Obviously on mine and my brother's channel, Cold Steel gets a lot of press, and that's for a very specific reason. They make good knives, they make good knives for Texas. But I wanted to make a video talking about knives that I would recommend for self-defense carry that are not necessarily Cold Steel or not necessarily 5.5 inches. I'm just knives I would recommend that are not Cold Steel, basically. And this is the ones that I own. Well, some of them my brother owns. We got the Otinashi no Ken, which is a fairly big knife far as a non-Cold Steel knife is concerned. It's a little bit over 4 inches, and it has a very good point. It doesn't have the best cutting grind. It will cut very well, but you're not going to get a hair-popping edge with it. But it's more point-oriented. And this is a good knife. This is what I keep in my EDC bag as my backup self-defense knife. God forbid that I walk out of the house with without my Cold Steel towel right here. But for backup, this is what I usually carry. Some other knives. I really like the Abaki. A little bit smaller, but for a small fixed blade, you know, back off, get off of me type knife, I would highly recommend this. It's very easy to carry. I carry it in the waistband, and it's almost invisible. Barely feel it. Very good, very carryable fixed blade. Far as karambits, keep in mind these are not true karambits, but they pretty much function in the same way. These are my brother's. They're K-Bar TDIs, and they have they're not a hawk bill, but because of the angle of the tang as it orients the blade, it can very easily be used in a reverse grip karambit style fashion, or you can use it as a regular grip. And this is another back off, get off of me knife. Very good for weapon retention, and if someone's wrestling with you trying to take your weapon away from you, if you're a police officer, these are good knives to have. Have the Columbia River Knife and Tool M21 VEF rated. Kind of pimpish looking with its gold color, but you got a good guard, so you can kind of parry with it. You know, kind of. I wouldn't recommend it with a knife this small. Has the auto locks, which I think is really nice. I actually prefer the auto locks to the manual locks. And this is a fairly good sized knife. Keep in mind that most of the knives I'm recommending ought to be sub 5.5 inches, because a lot of places you can't carry a 5.5 inch blade. And two other knives I'd like to mention that are on the bigger side, that are not Cold Steel, is the SOG Pentagon Elite. They have it in both 4-inch and 5-inch, and the Tatanka. And for two fixed blades that I'd recommend for tactical purposes are the Columbia River Knife and Tool Hisatsu. Good thrusting blade, has the ability to slash, but not as well as its thrusting capability. And if you really want to screw someone up, legally of course, you know, you're protecting yourself, the Hisho. The Hisho is probably the biggest blade you can comfortably carry, and you can take off limbs, you can split skulls, you can run them straight through and have an exit wound. This is a good knife, and it's not a Cold Steel. In fact, I'd love to put this against the Cold Steel Magnum Tanto, but I can't do that at the moment. So that's it. That's just some knives that I want to recommend as good self-defense, combat, back off, get off me type knives. Oh, I almost forgot.
This is my favorite one, probably.
The Pacific Salt, fully serrated. It's pretty much a Endura size knife, but it has the H1 steel, and has a very good serration pattern on it. It has these wide gap serrations, which I prefer. And this will not rust. This is very rust resistant. This cannot rust. It has no carbon in it. So you live in a very humid or salt beach-like setting, this would be a good knife for you, because it won't rust, gets a hair-popping edge, and it will cut like no one's business.
And one more we were talking about this morning was the Emerson Uber Commander.
Emerson Uber Commander. And I also want to add the Emerson Persian. But the thing about the Emersons, I love Ernest Emerson. I think he's a very talented knife designer. I would love to go fishing with him. He sounds like he has a lot of good stories. But the only problem I have with Emerson's is that his knives, in my opinion, are overpriced for what you're getting. But his knife designs are sound. You know, they're really good sound designs. And if you have the money and if you just like one of his designs, I'd say it would serve you well. So that's it. I hope y'all have a great day. I'm Satsu5, and I'm out.